How to guard our mind from evil, bad thoughts. So, our aim is to guard the mind. When we say guard the mind, it is basically we have to be very careful about what information is coming to our mind. We have to be very attentive of the information coming in. Here in this video, I will show you 4 information type, and I will also show you how we should be attentive. Put a virtual gate through which we can filter the information which goes inside our mind. Now, we have this 4 type of information which is coming in. One, as I have mentioned in the previous video, there is information about the building in which we live, which states that it's a 5-story high building. So we need to allow this information that it's a 5-story high building, and it goes through our 5 senses and it's processed in our brain and it gets stored as a thought. This thought is important to us. Maybe it is our residence or the place of work, and we might be staying or working in the 5th story, so this information is useful. Hence, it's passed through the gate and it becomes a thought which is very useful for us. Very useful kind of thought. Very useful kind of information which has got converted in a very useful kind of a thought. Second information which we have with regard to a person whom we love. In the previous example, we saw that it may be somebody such as our mom, who has been giving us unconditional love, providing us security, nourishing us with food. So these informations are again going through the senses, being processed in our brain, and they are getting stored as a series of thoughts. No problem. Now there is the third information about a person whom we hate. So let us see what information do we have or we are gaining with regard to this person. The information such as he is giving me tight deadline, he hates me, he ignores me, he discriminates me, he is giving me a tough time, he is giving me some work related information, oh, he is giving me work related data. So as you can see, that certain information has to be filtered out in our gate. The information which we can let in are tight deadline. Yes, we need to know the tight deadline for a particular work. We let it in. We ignore hate me kind of information, ignores me, discriminates me, giving me a tough time information. We can ignore all this information. Maybe he's giving the same information, same ideas to other people also. We let in the information related to work. So as you can see that out of the information which we are gathering to our senses, we are only letting in few information. We are filtering the information through the gate and allowing fewer information to reach our brain to process and convert it into thoughts. If we don't, then there will be conflicting thoughts in our mind. Similarly, the 4th type of information which I have taken in is from the media. We get information with regard to our media, information through which we can learn. We can get some news, some information with regard to fear, and some gossip news, Facebook things. So we have to be very careful what information we want to let it in through our gate. We have to be very attentive of letting in the information through media and allowing it into getting converted into thoughts. This is very critical because the information which gets converted into thoughts leaves the impressions in our mind, and this impression in our mind is permanent. It doesn't get erased very soon. And these thoughts are responsible for our emotions. As in my previous video, you saw that we, the consciousness, give our attention to this thought and it gets processed in our heart to give the corresponding emotion. For example, if we are processing the information with regard to the building being 5-story high, it gives a neutral emotion or no feelings at all. If we are processing the information with regard to the person whom we love, we will emote the corresponding emotion of love. And if we have let in the information with regard to our boss, and there are some wrong or information which is like he ignores me, discriminates me, giving me a tough time, then again there will be a emotional processing and we will be hating him, which can cause us to be depressed. So you can clearly see here that the information which comes in through our five senses, if it is not guarded properly and we are not attentive and we let the brain process it and if it gets processed and gets converted into thoughts, it can create problem for us in the future. So we should be very attentive and be very careful of what thoughts we need to create from the information we are getting in so that we can have the corresponding emotions. So to summarize, the information which is coming in our daily life, we have to be very attentive and need to provide a visual or fictitious, a gate through which we filter out the information which we don't need. Allow and only useful information and filter out or ignore all the unnecessary information so that our brain processes only the required information, good information, useful information, and it gets it converted into thoughts which leaves an impression in our brain, and it will help us generate the corresponding thought and emotion. In order to perform in our day-to-day life, it is very important to know in which state we are. If we have good thoughts and the corresponding emotions are positive or neutral, then we are in our best state. If the thoughts and the emotions corresponding to that are of hate, jealousy, then we are not in one of our best states, and the state affects the state of mind, state of body, affects our performance in day-to-day life. I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much.